Welcome to the Primo's Musings podcast.
Good evening. Welcome to the Primo Musings podcast. And today we are here to talk about the men's singles semifinal. And let's start off with the first match between Carlos Alcaraz and Daniil Medvedev. And this lived up to the billing. Last year was much more one-sided than this year. But in the first set, Medvedev looked really primed for an upset. He raced to a very quick lead at 5-2. His serves were clicking, and Carlos's first serve percentage was not really up high, and Medvedev managed to use um, hitting the ball very deep and finishing off his forehand and backhand shots much crisper than what Alcaraz was doing. Alcaraz had a lot of unforced errors as well, but at 5-2, the tide kind of turned around with Alcaraz coming back with a bang, and he definitely mixed up his shots. He had drop shots, he had overhead shots, he had lobs. He really moved Medvedev around, and he was able to claw back into the game, got back at 5-all. The match went all the way to the tiebreaker, and Carlos was able to um, play an excellent set until that point. But then Medvedev was just on a tear in the tiebreaker, not giving Alcaraz any room, ran off to a very quick 3-0 lead, and he never looked back. And he was definitely, thinking upset all the way and won a tiebreaker at 7-1. In the second set, Carlos started to climb back a little bit. Again, his signature drop shots, which forced Medvedev to come to the net, and also his first serve percentage was better than this first set. The one thing that Carlos struggled throughout the match was break points, and I think that's it was like 6 for 15 or something like that. So something that he needs to work on in the final against Djokovic. But coming back to the second set, it looked like Alcaraz definitely had much better momentum going into the second set. After the first set loss in the tiebreaker, he was able to get Medvedev unsettled with some very deep serves coming into the net, finishing off the point much quicker, and then on the other side of things, hitting the ball. I mean, some of his forehand, like rockets. I mean, he would get into a rally, going back and forth, and then he would just whip a forehand. So hard that Medvedev didn't have a chance to react. And even if he got back the ball, Carlos was already at the net, pouncing on it and putting it away. Had some lucky shots, just one over the net. But other than that, he was able to get it back, tie the game at 1-all, and that is when the tide started to slowly turn against Medvedev. In the third set, it was a very close affair, but Alcaraz definitely kept the pressure on Medvedev. Uh, Medvedev is predominantly a hardcourt player, and he found the speed of the court. He found how Alcaraz was not just moving him all around the court, but also up and down the court. So that made chances of getting back in the third set much harder. And Carlos's first serve percentage started to increase. He was able to break uh, Medvedev at the time, and then once he did that, he won the second set at 6-4. The third set, again, he took an early lead, kept the pressure on, and once he broke Medvedev early in that fourth set, it was just a matter of Medvedev trying to keep up with Alcaraz. But Alcaraz, every time on his serve, was way focused on the first set. In the first set, he had a lot of lapses, but once he got that break, um, he just put on a show there. Um, One thing that Medvedev did have a lot of trouble with was double faults. He had 6 double faults in the match. Although his first serve percentage is way better than Alcaraz, 69% to 57%. That's something that Alcaraz may have to fix when he plays like Novak Djokovic. And then the total points, very close on both sides, like 10 points apart. But that's how close the game was. A lot of these games went to 30, 40, 40, 30 kind of games. So Alcaraz is back in the final, back to back finalist in the Wimbledon, and he actually won it last year. And then coming back to Djokovic, Djokovic and Musetti, this was going to be a tall order for Musetti, having lost to Djokovic in a thrilling 5-setter in French Open. But this is a different surface. This Djokovic has already played 9 Wimbledon finals, and this would be his 10th in all overall in Wimbledon, of which he has won 7, as we know. And in this match, Djokovic, the first set, he continued to. I mean, he didn't look the Djokovic of the old, like where he's so crisper. But you have to give it to him because he's fighting through a knee surgery just 25 days ago, and just incredible the way he was able to just stay in the game, keep Musetti off balance. Musetti had some excellent backhand, one single-handed backhand shots. It was just a sweet poetry to watch. Some of the shots where he's in the middle of the court and hitting to Djokovic's forehand with a one-handed backhand was just a treat to watch. But the the thing is that Djokovic is able to figure these things out. And let's see if he is able to figure the same things against Alcaraz, because Alcaraz is going to be a different ball game. Once Djokovic won the first set at 6-4 and took a big lead in the second set, but Musetti fought back, and he had some excellent forehand strokes as well as backhand strokes. The single-handed backhand that he was able to unsettle Djokovic. Not many drop shots like you saw in the Alcaraz and Medvedev match, but still the tennis was entertaining. And once Djokovic won the second set tiebreaker at 7-6, rather easily 7-2, it was just you knew that Musetti had winning 3 sets against Djokovic after being down is not an easy task. I don't think not many people have done this, and I can't remember the last time anyone did it. So once Djokovic got the second set, he was able to pull through the third set. The interesting part again is that Musetti actually outserved Djokovic in his first serves, I mean 74 to 67%. But the key is he was not able to win. He was only able to win 61% on his first serve, while Djokovic won a whopping 75%. And tie break points, Musetti only had 2 chances to break Djokovic, 2 to 4. That's going to be very interesting when Alcaraz plays him. And then Djokovic, on the other hand, was 4 for 13. So the story will be the incredible run by Djokovic. No matter what the draw was for him, it was a favorable draw. But if you go back to uh, the Wimbledons and all the other majors he has played, he's always played some very tough opponents on his way to that. So you can never. Greatness is always something that you cannot. When it comes to Djokovic, he has played the toughest schedule. So, but this time he has an easy schedule, but he's got probably one of the toughest opponents ever on grass in the world in front of him. So, that pretty much wraps up the men's semifinal. Going back to the women's singles final tomorrow at 9 a.m., you got Paolini playing on Krejicova. Krejcikova is on a great emotional run. Her coach ex-coach, when I say a late coach, Yana Novotna. I mean, hopefully she has that one more in her to win it all. But when I look at this matchup, the way Paolini has been playing, I mean, she has completely played this Wimbledon very well. She beat Navarro in the quarterfinal. She beat Madison Keys, even though that was a match where Paolini um, won the first set. Madison Keys was up big in the second, then lost it, and then she had to get a walkover. Then she beat Andreescu, um, and in the third round, and then she beat Dana Vecek. I mean, despite losing, it was a very crazy third three setter um, that she had to go through. And Krejcikova, on the other hand, uh, she has, she obviously beat Ostapenko in the last match in the quarterfinal, and then Rybakina, which is like a big semifinal win. She beat Daniela Collins in the round of 16, which itself is a huge thing, especially that Daniela Collins has been playing really well. I predict that Paolini is going to win her first major tomorrow, and let's see if that'll come true. So with that, we wrap it up, and we'll come back with Dr. Dan tomorrow to do the preview of the men's singles final and a recap of the women's singles final. Thank you so much for listening, and have a good night.
Thank you for listening. Primo will be back soon.